What's up, you weird hippies? Welcome to my nightly ritual. Sometimes I get my best ideas here, sometimes not. I don't know what kind of night's going to turn out to be, but we are here, aren't we? Oh yeah. Oh, nobody needs to see that. So, Charles Sanders Peirce. He's a pragmatist. Is he pragmatic? Does anybody want to hear about that, or do you want to hear about weird shit in the Mojave Desert? Strange lights, mysterious figures, skittering across the sands. I don't know much about either. But even though both are simple, instant items, one is intrinsically more thrilling. Why? You know, isn't the fact that a guy specifically named Charles Sanders Peirce existing just as odd as 12-foot tall purple kangaroo? Am I being profound? Or am I killing time because I'm substanceless? Says this. We can only wait and see. So, of course, I have subscribed to this Harper's Magazine thing. And yeah, it's really turning out to be not balanced at all. Just very boilerplate snark and foundational. That's the wrong word. Foundationless attacks on political opponents. Of course, saving grace is that there is a bit of erudition to the folks that are published here, so you do get a good read and introduced new ideas and information. For instance, I would have never looked up Charles Sanders Peirce, ever, most likely. Well, maybe that's not true, but it would be less likely. Even though I'm a philosophy buff, and I do aim to finally finish reading Bertrand Russell's History of Western Philosophy, and I have a copy of Cobbleston's as well. One is a clerk, the other is very much a secularist, a humanist. I find the humanists these days are people who title themselves as such to be absolutely bizarre, very odd folk. Because they kind of have prescriptions and things, and almost like rituals, like sacraments. And they're not towards the end of a free human spirit. No. You have to fit into some group. And if you try to go outside the bounds of that group, for instance, if you're somebody who is of a particular sexuality, and you're like, well, this interferes with my faith, you'd better not do that because you're doing immense harm to yourself, being what you are. But what if you don't want to be what you are? See the limit? See the oddness? And then the fact of embracing who you are as being intrinsically good and worth celebrating is an oddness. Now, I'm not making any kind of moral judgment here myself. You know, I'm with the more lefty, free-spirited thing with, hey, it doesn't appear to be harming anybody, so go the way that your inclinations take you, as long as you're not too much of slag. Yeah. But at the same time, what if you don't want to? What if it's bad for you? Why is it that this acceptance is this ritual of putting yourself in a box and saying, hey, it's very good I'm in this box. I kind of fit in this box, but this box is really what I'm all about, and I'm going to sit snugly in it because all the right people are going to pat me on the back. And this goes beyond just this particular example. It's just in everything, because there's this facade of thinking freely, but really, it's ideology. It's a trap, becoming an ideologue. These folks, like this guy Edmondson, who wrote this article, and he's talking about his friend Rorty, who's another professor. Yeah, and he's saying, well, he's a pragmatist, and the pragmatists, they don't have any inherent morality. To me, based on my very skimming, surface level understanding, that's more like a purely postmodernist thing. And what I gathered from the pragmatists is they were usually men of science or involved in the sciences or science-minded. So, not given to any particular framework. They understood that you had to update them. That doesn't mean that you can just update them any way that you want to. And it doesn't mean that you can't have an almost objective morality, the kind of objective morality that Edmondson seems to be striving for and championing. But you see, when he champions being an idealist, I can't help, especially based on the invective that he throws at his perceived political enemies, I can't help but see him as an ideologue. Maybe this is difficult to follow. I don't know. I feel like it's fairly straightforward what I'm saying, but I don't vlog often enough and get that flow going and study the way that I present information to really be confident. So you're going to have to deal with this awkwardness for just a tad, or you could click away. Why haven't you clicked away already? I don't know. I haven't the faintest. Some say that if you don't put a lot of thought into the things that you put out, that you're disrespecting your audience. But I listen to stuff like this all the time. Just kind of a free flow of ideas. I'm trying to make them better, so I'm not disrespecting you. Well. This is an article I haven't yet read. Let's go through the first paragraph. What is the title of it? I'm staring right at it. It's called Findings by Rochelle Carl Zaidi. Yeah. Atmospheric warming has shrinking the diurnal temperature range. The septic systems of Nag's Head are failing as sea levels rise, and PFAS are damaging the immune system of Cape Fear alligators. I did some reading on the water thing. I actually eventually hope to finish a nonfiction work on it. Is that like fluoro something or other? Some kind of, I think, petrochemical or some industrial byproduct. And immune systems of the Cape Fear alligator. Speaking of water, industrial byproducts, the whole Alex Jones thing. Well, they're turning the frog scale. Well, actually, atrazine. I believe that's the one. I read in a completely worlds removed by some New York writer, some New York environmentalist, some guy. Very learned guy, long-form journalist, kind of narrative writer. I think he was related to Julia Child or some such thing. And, yeah. In the beginning of, I think, his book, because I read like 3 different books, but I think it was his book, he described, or whoever described, this very process of atrazine changing, messing with the hormone systems of fish and making them change genders. So, not even turning the frogs gay, they're turning them trans. It can't be good. That much disruption the ecosystem. It can't. I mean, it's mighty progressive. But somehow, I don't think it's good. Reduced flow from the Colorado River is causing the Salton Sea to dry to toxic dust. Microbes on Mars may have degraded the planet's atmosphere by overproducing greenhouse gases. The late Miocene cooling event, previously attributed to carbon dioxide drawdown from Himalayan silicate weathering, may have been caused in large part by ash from Andean volcanism. That sounds so rad. Andean volcanism should be the name of a band. Small-scale tests are underway to model the installation of a 169-mile-wide seaweed farm in the South Atlantic Gyre? And scientists were hopeful that metal organic frameworks will allow targeted carbon dioxide removal from the atmosphere and may aid human colonization of other planets. 3D printed bricks of lunar regolith were deemed potentially valuable for construction on the moon. Precession was observed for the first time among a pair of binary black holes. Turing records indicate that a Miyake event has about a 1% chance of occurring in the next decade. Though it is unclear whether it would destroy human civilization, climate change may make it difficult for Shias to commemorate the martyrdom of Ali, but will increase opportunities for seeing rainbows. Moralist effects. No. What is this something under? Findings. So this is just kind of a sketch of the world, I guess. There's 3 more, and I'm going to just read them because that feels a touch plagiaristic. But yeah, you see, very nice way of putting things forward in prose here at Harper's Magazine. But see here the politics is not evident, although you can pick up on it. It's by the environment with kind of a limiting tone, perhaps hidden, and so yeah, this kind of left thing not an issue for me, I can't take the generalizations, the smugness. It's a bit much. It really detracts from the erudition. It really does. All right. Well. A good mystery, eh? It's very odd cameras, right? Because they just capture these sequences of photons or whatever, right? That's what's written on there, like a yeah. And then we are so used to reading in books, memories, recollections, facts. That's the way we transmit them into the future, the written word. That's the only way, or pictographs or hieroglyphics. But now we have these cameras, and of course the language is kind of a very specific form of communication. It's still happening with the camera, but it's got to have very profound effects on the way that we view the world, the fact that we are raised with this medium. And I'm sure somebody has already looked into this. Somebody far more, don't use that word again, erudite, insightful than myself. Someone with much more qualifications. But it is very noteworthy. It's very mention-worthy that, so how they have those sweeping shots over a valley. Now how many, or over the earth even, or over just like a very high place, you just, bird's eye view. Now how many people read about bird's eye views, perhaps had inklings of them in a high hill or a mountain? Some people didn't live in areas that are the mountains, but that wasn't part of their thinking process. But that kind of is now part of our thinking process. Now, does that make us more broad-minded, or does it make us megalomaniacal? Does it make us have perceptions that are a bit above our place? No? You see where I'm kind of getting at with this? Mediums shaping the zeitgeist. The medium being the message. It's a thing that's been talked about, but specifically, I think the oddness of the camera is lost on us because, hey, some cultures think that that's how you stole the soul. And you just capture it in there. Some intrinsic part of you interrupts the flow of the normal operation of the cosmos. Now, of course, you can destroy it. You can destroy the film. But this can get into really woo territory, and I'm not going there. I shall not. But what is your spookiest setting? Is it the barren desert? That absolute, the ultimate, I suppose, liminal space? The vast stretches of sand, or is it a forest, a dark forest, where each tree may hide a very otherworldly surprise? Or is it a haunted house, where each closet may house a monster or specter? So it's all this really down to two phobias: the fear of wide open spaces and the fear of closed spaces. I know one's called claustrophobia, not sure about the name of the other. I wonder if I can make up a story right now off the top of my head. Just no writing, no preparation. I bet it's going to be terrible, but I think I'll give it a go. At the base of the stairs, it's a very odd sort of place, the base of the stairs, especially in those urban environments where there is an entrance on the side of otherwise blank wall, and the ground gives way to a staircase that leads down to a door that allows access to the blank wall, to its interior. Have you been to such a place at one point in your life? Perhaps it was a bar. Perhaps it was simply a basement. Simply some kind of absolutely utilitarian space for a building. But you know the sorts of things that I'm talking about, don't you? Or maybe you don't, but imagine it now. You're there on some twilight evening after a bit of revelry on the town, and you just get this absolute sense that you have to be out of sight. You're very nervous because you're in a precarious state. You're shuffling to and fro, and you know that this isn't the friendliest of neighborhoods. So you think, I'll go down these stairs, though I don't like the look of them. I'll go down these stairs and nestle myself there in the corner till I can regain my senses. Well, so you do. And there you are sat for a spell. Your wits do return, but unfortunately, round about the same time that they return, the door is opened, and somebody exits, rushing past you, leaving the door quite unlocked, not noticing the drunkard slumped against the corner. And so now you are in a curious state. You do not want to call out, to ask what's going on with this person that has shuffled past you, up the stair. You do not want to go in, but you also don't want to remain where you are. And at the same time, there is curiosity mixed with the fear, because what's inside that door that made that man rush ever so quickly away up the stairs? So, agonizingly, neither fight nor flight occur. You simply freeze like a rabbit. But you're not a rabbit. You have more in you, akin to that omnivore known as the raccoon. And so, like that night prowler, you sneak around to peek into the darkness, seeing nothing of note. It is peculiarly dark in there, though. And you're wondering, somebody simply left the light on? Or off, rather? Is there a light to be turned on? Do you want to turn on that light to find out? Or do you want to stealthily feel your way about the space? Because now, you're in the grips of having to go in. And so you do. You hear the distant hum of some bit of machinery. Maybe this is a boiler room, after all. Some such thing, right? Well, you feel about, and the walls are absolutely smooth. Oddly smooth, perhaps cement. And the darkness outside, which was, as you know, part and parcel of a recess space, so it blends perfectly with the darkness you presently find yourself in. And now you're all blind. You can't see anything that you don't know from whence you came. And the walls are so smooth and featureless. You're absolutely devoid of any kind of notion of where you are. It's sort of like being in a sensory deprivation chamber, save the hum. But the hum's constancy itself is a thing that does not allow for the sense of hearing to gain any semblance of surroundings. It's just a featureless nothing. Oh, Ducky, this is not good. This is not good. This is the unknown. This is that ultimate fear. There's no whiskey courage in you. There is only the awareness of solitude and blackness. And you have nothing left to do but walk. And walk you do, awkwardly, feeling along the smooth and featureless wall. And you go, and you go, and you go. How big can this building be that you don't meet another wall for so many paces? And then you hear it. Off in the distance, there's a giggle. A very unpleasant sort of giggle. Because it's just very familiar. It's the sort of giggle of having pulled a prank on somebody. The exact sort of giggle that your sister would give you. Trouble is, your sister has been quite deceased. And before, there was no such laughter, no such giggle, for many a year. And so you are, here in perfect featureless darkness, with nothing but the childish laughter of your dead sister. Do you call out? No courage for that. No courage for that at all. All there is to go faster, faster through the featureless void. And then you fall. And you rush madly past the slumped form and up the stair. And you're back. Stumbling along the street. Well, that was terrible. Thanks for listening. Take care.